What if there was a different way to live and work? Beyond the hustle and hype, beyond the never-ending race to get more clients, more money, more audience, a way that's nourishing, grounded, creative, connected, and still makes a major impact in the world. You're listening to Wellpreneur with me, your host, Amanda Cook. Join me as we explore alchemy and action for entrepreneurs who want to do well and be well. Hello, and welcome back to the Wellpreneur podcast. This week, we're talking about a topic that I don't think we've really covered on the Wellpreneur podcast in hundreds of episodes. We're talking about LinkedIn and how you can use LinkedIn to find clients for your business and really grow your presence and your influence and build your network. I'm interviewing one of my own clients who has found great success building her business using LinkedIn because she has a lot of expertise in this area, as you'll learn in this interview. I'm talking with Amani Kaite. And when she mentioned to me about how she's finding clients easily through LinkedIn, I thought, wow, I can't believe we haven't covered this. Will you come on and share what you're doing? And she has decided to share so openly about her strategy and how it can really work for you with specific steps. So it's a great conversation. This is one of those you're definitely going to want a notebook, a pen and paper so that you can take some notes about how you can use LinkedIn to grow your own business too. And we'll start off by talking about who LinkedIn is right for, because it might not be a platform that you've thought about to use to grow your own business. Now, I also want to give you a heads up about what's coming in a couple of weeks. My Alchemy Action membership community is going to open for new members. This only happens twice a year, in the spring and in the autumn, and the spring enrollment is happening just in a couple of weeks. The Alchemy Action membership community is about you as an entrepreneur. It's about you becoming who you need to be to make that impact in the world, to create the business that you really want to create. We talk about areas like mindset and finding enough time to work. How do you know what's important and where to focus? Creating your strategy, how to be productive so that you can just actually get stuff done without having to work all the time, creating the right type of balance for you in your life, finding time for self-care, basically shifting from that sense of, oh my gosh, there's so much to do. I don't know where to focus. I'm totally overwhelmed. I'm pulled in 1,000 directions between my personal life and my business. Shifting from that to being focused, grounded, present, centered, aligned, and enjoying your life and business as you're living it. That's what the Alchemy Action community is all about. And I'd love to introduce you to what we're doing and to bring you into our supportive community so that you don't feel like you have to do this alone. There are so many other entrepreneurs who share this desire to do well and be well. And we all hang out in Alchemy Action. So if you'd like to join the waitlist to be the first to hear when Alchemy Action is accepting new members, you can join that at wellpreneur.com/alchemy. That's wellpreneur.com/ALCHEMY. And just get on the wait list, and then I'll let you know when all the good stuff is coming out and when the doors are open to join our community. Okay, now let's get into this interview with the fabulous Amani Kaite, talking all about LinkedIn and how you can use it to grow your own business. Hey, Amani, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thank you very much for having me.
We're trying to record this with video today, which is like new for me because I usually do audio interviews. So it'll be a big experiment. So thanks for being willing to try.
No problem at all.
So I wanted to have you on to talk about LinkedIn because you've really found success with that. And I think that's something that the rest of the audience would be interested in learning about. So why don't we start off? Could you just explain what it is that you do first? How do you describe what you do?
Yeah, so I am a nutritional therapist, and basically what I do is that I work with people who have gastrointestinal issues, usually around like IBS or parasites, and I help them heal their gut. So yeah.
Awesome. And you work in person and online?
Actually, yes, I do both, but mostly online.
Right. Cool. Okay. So when I was chatting with you a few weeks ago, and I think you've been doing this for you had a big transition and you quit your job and now you're doing
Mm-hmm.
this full time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you said, oh, I've gotten such good success with LinkedIn. And that's not something that I hear about very often in the Wellpreneur community. Everyone's always talking about Facebook and Instagram. So kind of tell us your experience with, like, how did you get, I know the answer to this, but how did you get into doing LinkedIn? Like, how did you start to follow this path?
Well, I had no choice, obviously, because before, quitting my job, well, obviously, before starting my career as a nutritionist, full-time nutritionist, I was working for LinkedIn. So for about 5 years. So I would say that even though the platform has evolved a lot, I think I know the platform in and out. So that's probably why I started, prospecting or engaging with people on LinkedIn, because it's a platform where I feel comfortable. So I felt a little bit awkward, because I basically had to start posting things about my own business and personal stuff, because when you are an entrepreneur, it's not really about the services that you provide. This is important as well, but it's also about your personality, because people are interested in working with you because you are who you are. I think we talked about it before. There's so many nutritionists out there. Why would they want to work with me? It's because I am who I am. So what I started doing is basically I started by defining my audience, and I know you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I found it a little bit difficult because I know on platforms like Facebook or Instagram, there's so many different filters. And when it comes to LinkedIn, it's mostly about your career, like your job title, your company, and things like that. I sat down and I literally wrote down all the characteristics of my ideal clients in terms of their professional career. And this is actually based on, the profile of some of my previous clients and also my ideal clients. And then based on that, I found out that most of my clients would be in positions such as account management, directors and things like that. And then I started connecting with people who have these titles. Okay. And so that was the first thing. And then the second thing was, sorry, did you want to?
No, that's good. Yeah. Well,
Okay.
I want to kind of take it a step back first before you, because I have lots of questions about.
Yeah, of course. Go
on. But so I guess, people might not be as familiar with LinkedIn for using it for their own business. Because a lot of times people, if they came from a corporate background, they'd have a LinkedIn profile. Yeah. But when we are looking at our own businesses, we don't hear a lot about using it. So what types, how would a listener know if LinkedIn is right for them? What types of people are on there? Mm-hmm. How could do you have any sense of how they could decide, is this where I should be focusing? Because obviously we can't focus on every platform, right? So you have to choose one. Of course. So is LinkedIn better than Facebook? Is better than Instagram? What kind of person would this be right for?
Yeah. Do you know what? You'd be surprised. Everyone. Just before this call, I actually looked into the database and I searched for stay-at-home moms. I looked for cleaners. I looked for pharmacists. There's literally everyone. And actually, that's a really good question, because a lot of people would think that LinkedIn is mostly B2B. But you'd be surprised, because you know what? Let's say you are a cleaner or a teacher. And you are looking for business, right? You'd be surprised that on LinkedIn, because people are so used to consuming business news, if you come up on the platform and you start sharing something that is a little bit different, you're going to catch their attention. So it's literally for everyone. So for example, just to give you a concrete example, let's say you are a teacher and you want to help people, in their business to learn a different language because it's important to do business, when you have different languages, whatever. So what you could do, for example, as a teacher, you can start defining your audience and saying, okay, so I want to work with business executives and I want to help them to learn another language. And the type of content that you're going to start sharing is, how can you be more productive by learning another language? And that's the kind of content that you're going to start sharing, and people are going to engage. So whether you're a teacher, a cleaner, a stay-at-home mom, or whatever else, you can definitely find, your ideal clients on LinkedIn. You'd be surprised.
Okay, awesome. Cool. That makes sense. So it sounds from what I've used with LinkedIn, there's obviously the profile, you've got your LinkedIn profile, and then there's a news feed at the front, like we'd see on Facebook or something. And that's, I guess, what you're talking about. That's where you share content. Yes. And then you can be searching for people and outreaching and doing direct connections. So is the first thing that we need to do if we want to do this strategy is refresh our profiles?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
So
literally the first. Yeah. That's something that I had to do myself because, I was an account manager for LinkedIn, and from one day to the other, I was a nutritional therapist, completely different. So the first thing that you're going to do, obviously, is you're gonna change your headline, because so you have your name, first name, last name, and then you have your headline. And a lot of people typically would say, I'm a nutritionist, or I'm a teacher, or I'm this or that. Now, what is really important is to actually say what it is that you do, what kind of people you help, and what sort of solution you provide for what benefit, So it's quite similar to Facebook and Instagram. I help this type of people to do this so they can do this, So that's basically what I did. So I help busy professionals who feel congested all the time, clear their tummy trouble so they can experience this and that. So that's what I did, the first thing. So then every time you engage with people or every time you connect with someone, they know exactly who you are and what you do. So that's the first thing. Now, you also have, I think it's called a description or summary of your profile. So it's not like all your experiences, but basically in a nutshell, who you are. So you can explain a little bit more about your programs, and the way I did it, I think it's quite similar to Facebook and Instagram. I started by asking questions. Do you often feel bloated? Do you do this, or do you feel like this or that? And if that's the case, if you answered yes to any of these questions, keep reading. And then I started talking about my programs and how I help people. The good thing with LinkedIn is that you can also attach documents. So, for example, you could say, I don't know, if you have an online program, you can attach, some information about your online program, or testimonials as well. So that's basically where you start. One thing that I would say that is really important as well, I know you've got a question, is the banner. So important. Basically like on Facebook and not Instagram, but Facebook for sure. Because in the banner, I basically I wrote down everything that I do. So literally in 1 second, people know exactly who I am, what I do, and how I can help them. Yeah.
Awesome. And that stuff you were saying about, summarizing your program and what you offer, where are you putting that? Just in the intro to your
Absolutely.
bio?
Yeah,
or your
exactly.
profile?
Yeah. That's cool. Exactly it. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so that's great. So we refresh our profiles.
Yeah.
And then start sharing content.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Walk us through the process from there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Once we do our profile.
No problem. First thing, the profile. Once it's done, I would actually say spend some time defining your ideal clients in terms of their professional career. Right? And then start not engaging, but connecting with these people. If you're into account managers, go and look for account managers. You can even select countries. Personally, I work with people all over the world, so I don't really care, to be honest, but you can select countries, cities if you want. So all the business executives in Manchester, for example. That would be one thing. And the rule is, every single day, try to connect with between 10 and 20 new people in your niche, And once you do that, the people who are interested in you anyways, because you have everything in your title, like headline and your name. So basically they say Amani Kaite, gut health, helping professionals, blah, 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 blah. So if they want to accept the connection request, they will, because they know what I'm all about. I don't necessarily send any intro email, nothing. Just send a connection request. That's one thing. Every single day, try to connect with new people, in your audience, in your ideal audience. Then the second thing would be to start engaging with content. And the type of content that you're gonna share really depends on your ideal audience. Personally, I want to work with business professionals. Basically people who are like I used to be. So account managers, busy people, traveling around the world, etc., etc. So I kind of know what kind of struggles they have when it comes to their nutrition, their stress levels. And I basically started sharing content that they would be interested in. Because when you are on the go, you are traveling for business, you don't have time to eat or to eat properly, or you don't know what to do, or you don't know how to meal prep efficiently, etc., etc. So I started sharing content around that. And that's how you get, traction. So people either like it, they comment, they share, and that's basically what you should start doing on a daily basis.
Cool. So are you sharing your blog posts from your website or native content that you're writing directly in LinkedIn or video, or what are you sharing?
Such a good question. LinkedIn likes native content. So in terms of engagement, because the way it works is that you're going to show up, your content is going to show up in the news feed, and if it gets a lot of engagement and it's native content, obviously a lot more people are going to see it. Well, you kind of know how it works. I usually what I do is that I share native content a lot, and also videos. And occasionally I would have an article, from my blog. But I've started using, the articles. There's how is it called? LinkedIn articles or LinkedIn news or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. But there's a section in LinkedIn where you can write your articles and people can follow you. So it's some sort of, embedded, how do you call that?
It's like Medium or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. So I was like, because initially I was like, oh yeah, well, I have a website. I have a blog as well. I can just direct people to my blog and my website. But you know what? When you have to click too many times, a lot of people were like, nah, I'll do it later. But if the content is already on LinkedIn, people are going to consume it straight away. So I stopped doing that. Occasionally I'm writing articles on LinkedIn. That would be maybe once a month. But regularly, every day, I either share, content, which would be like tips and tricks, or stories about how I do business, what kind of clients I like to work with. Sometimes I also share testimonials, which is really important. And then the most important thing is videos. Right? So videos are so important, because when you think about it, before making any decision, if you think about your personal life or whatever, before buying anything, you have to be exposed to, I don't know, between 5 and 10 pieces of content about the same thing. So when you do a video, you kind of skip a few steps, and people can really get to know you as a person. So either they're going to like your personality and they will want to engage with you, or they're going to be like, nah, not for me. Which is great as well,
Totally. Yeah. So it's like that, building up the know, like, and trust with people.
Absolutely.
Building up that authority and likability and all of that. So are you uploading videos from other places, or are you recording directly in LinkedIn, or does that need to be native too?
No, not at all. Okay. But so recently, LinkedIn, they released this new feature called LinkedIn Live, and you need to apply for it though. And you would get it only if you are used to posting videos and things like that, because it's kind of like LinkedIn is looking for influencers, people who are really engaging, etc., etc. So for videos, I just record them on my own and then I upload them to LinkedIn. At least for now, maybe I'll get LinkedIn Live, but not at this stage.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So how do you know it's working? What kind of results are you seeing from this?
Yeah. So one thing that I started doing at the very beginning, I started looking at my stats, something that I didn't really do before. When I say statistics, it's whenever you post something, you get your engagement rate. So in terms of sharing, liking, commenting, etc., etc. So I started looking at that to see if there was any sort of trend and see what kind of content was the most interesting, for my ideal audience. And then you can also look at what kind of people are engaging with your content. So that was really interesting, because it was showing me if I was talking to the right people, So I was looking at the stats. That was the first thing, because that helped me to kind of refine and adjust, the content. So that was the first thing that I did. Now, in terms of the result, I would say that, so I really started using LinkedIn let's say more around September last year. So I was using it before, but not every single day. And from September onwards, I started using it quite regularly. And in terms of the results, I would say that I got, let me think, 7 new clients. Yeah,
Awesome.
7 new clients. Yeah, that's awesome. So now the thing is, my programs
and we're recording this in January. So you're saying you started in September. So that's only like a few months, really.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
so
awesome.
I'm really, really, really happy about it. And the thing is, I guess it will depend on, what you're selling, obviously, but I sell a 3-month program. So for me, 7 new clients is absolutely amazing, given that my target for myself would be maximum 3 clients per month for this kind of program.
Mm-hmm.
So 7 was absolutely unreal. But I guess depending on what you have to sell, you could get maybe, more clients, but it depends on the offer, definitely.
Yeah, awesome. I know I had another question for you.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
When you said you were connecting with people every day and just like based on their job titles and their locations and your ideal customer profile, does that, but you don't send a message, you just connect with them. Yeah. But then does that turn into them connecting you? And like, so I guess you need to be monitoring your inbox and like having a little bit of back and forth. Like, is that how you get the clients, as they end up messaging you, or?
Yeah, so exactly. So the way it works is that I connect with them, my ideal clients. I don't send any salesy message or anything like that. And I'm not saying it's the wrong way to do it, because, everyone does it differently. But for me, I'm like, nope, I'm just going to connect with them and I'm going to let them engage with me. So this is not a quick, kind of a quick thing. It really works over time, because what I've seen is that the clients that I have today, the 7 clients that I was talking to you about, it was not like from one day to the other that they became my clients. I noticed that they started engaging with my content. And then over time, when I received the message in the inbox, I was like, oh, okay, so let's chat. That's really good. So that's basically how I do it. I connect with them, they accept, and that's it. And then I keep doing what I'm doing,
Awesome. So is there, I guess for what you're talking about, you can just do that on basic LinkedIn. You don't need the premium, or like...
Very good point. Yeah, exactly. So I guess I wouldn't necessarily recommend to get LinkedIn Premium. It's not that expensive. I think it's about, 30-40 pounds per month or something like that. So it's not expensive at all. But there's so much you can already do with, by using LinkedIn organically. And the reason is, when you are on LinkedIn and you start connecting with people, you have access to, well, obviously your first degree connections, and then also their first degree connections. So basically, they become your second degree connections. So imagine if everyone on average is connected to, let's say, 500 people. That's a lot already. Mm-hmm. So I don't think you need LinkedIn Premium when you get started on LinkedIn, maybe after a few years or when you scale your business. Yeah.
That's awesome. So good. So, what do you want everybody to know? If somebody's out there listening and they've never really done much with LinkedIn, but it sounds like, oh, that could really be where my audience is. What do you want people to know about it?
Okay, so one thing that I've noticed over the years is that LinkedIn has become a lot more social. It used to be all about professional news and acquisitions and financial crisis and things like that. But more and more people are interested in learning about, who their peers are. So I would say don't be afraid to share who you are as a as a professional on LinkedIn, and then be authentic, because I used to be so scared of like showing my personality, like telling my story. But I found that actually whenever I share something about my own my personal story, my personality and things like that, the engagement is incredible. So I would say start where you are, start connecting with your ideal audience, and just be who you are. LinkedIn is becoming social, so don't be afraid.
Awesome. That's great. Yeah. Well, I think that's all the questions I had. I'm like totally motivated now. I always am on LinkedIn and like keep my profile updated and go look around, but I haven't really used it like concertedly like that. So I'm totally inspired after our interview to go do that more. Anything else you want people to know, or?
No, well, I don't know if you're going to share my.
Well, yeah, that's the last question. Yeah. Tell people where they can get in touch with you. And if anyone needs help with their gut health, of course, get in touch with Amani.
Well, guess where they can find me on LinkedIn. So yeah, that's the first thing. Obviously, connect with me, Amani Kaite. You're probably going to share my details somewhere. Yeah. And then also my website is amanikate.com, well, www.amanikate.com. And then also on Instagram, Amani_S_world, Amani's World. And that's it. Yeah.
That's great. Woohoo. Well, I look forward to hearing all these success stories from the listeners of people that have just revolutionized their business on LinkedIn. So thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to talk with us. This has been so helpful.
Yay. Yeah. Are you going to be on LinkedIn?
I'll see you on LinkedIn. Yeah.
Yes. Are you going to start sharing content on LinkedIn? Or
Totally. I know. I'm like jotting a little note about that.
No, it's not a must, but it's just a platform that I really enjoy using. So yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Amani.
No problem.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Wellpreneur podcast. I'm sure I'm going to be seeing a few of you around LinkedIn in the coming weeks, right? Thanks again to Amani for coming on and sharing so generously of her own experience. That was really awesome. And don't forget, if you'd like to join a community of entrepreneurs who want to do well and be well, while we explore topics like finding more time to work, being productive, knowing where to focus, having the right mindset, taking care of ourselves, and becoming that present, grounded, centered, aligned entrepreneur that we really want to become, I'd love for you to join the waitlist for my Alchemy Action community. You can sign up at wellpreneur.com/alchemy, and you'll be the first to know when the doors are open for accepting new members. Have a fantastic week, and I'll see you back here next week with our next episode.